The cold wind howled through the small mountain town of Pinebrook, slipping through every crack and corner like a ghost. Snow blanketed the streets in white silence, muffling all sound, as if the world had paused and forgotten how to breathe. Inside a modest wooden cottage on the edge of town, Emma Carter sat curled beneath a heavy quilt, her hands wrapped around a chipped mug of lukewarm tea. The fire in the hearth had faded to soft embers, casting dim orange shadows on the walls. The room was quiet, almost too quiet, except for the soft creaking of the house and the occasional gust tapping at the window panes. Emma stared blankly into the fire. 3 winters had passed since the accident, since that stormy night when the car slid off the road and took her husband and unborn child away forever. Since then, time hadn't moved forward so much as it had circled around her, trapping her in a loop of silence and sorrow. Each winter felt colder than the last, not because of the weather, but because of the hollow space inside her that no blanket could warm. Then came a sound. Scratch. Emma blinked. At first she thought it was a branch brushing the side of the house, but then it came again, clearer, more deliberate. Scratch, scratch, whine. She sat up, heartbeat quickening. Wrapping the blanket tighter around her shoulders, she stepped onto the cold wooden floor and moved toward the door. Through the frosted glass, she could barely make out the shape of something low to the ground. Slowly, cautiously, she opened the door. A blast of icy wind blew in, making her gasp. But she hardly noticed the cold now. There, lying on her snow-covered porch, was a German shepherd, her body thin, her fur tangled and crusted with blood. Her ears were low, her breathing labored, but her golden eyes met Emma's with astonishing calm. And beneath her curled body, 2 tiny puppies huddled together and shivering. Emma's breath caught in her throat. "Oh my God!" The dog didn't bark. She didn't move, except to nudge one of her pups forward with her nose, a silent plea. Despite the pain written all over her body, the mother's eyes never left Emma's. They were tired eyes, trusting eyes. Emma dropped to her knees, snow soaking through her blanket. "You poor thing," she whispered. "What happened to you?" She gently reached out, and though the dog flinched, she didn't resist. Emma picked up the nearest puppy, cradling it close to her chest. It was barely the size of her hand, whimpering softly. "Come on, Mama," she murmured. "Let's get you out of the cold." The mother dog rose with effort, her legs trembling. Slowly, carefully, she followed Emma inside, nudging the second puppy forward. The door shut with a soft click, sealing out the bitter wind. For a moment, Emma stood still, the weight of what had just happened settling over her like another layer of snow. The German shepherd, bloody, trembling, and painfully thin, stood just inside the threshold, her 2 tiny puppies pressed close against her legs. Her golden eyes scanned the room as if unsure whether this warmth, this safety, was real. Emma moved slowly, not wanting to startle her. "It's okay," she whispered, her voice softer than the crackle of the fire. "You're safe now, all of you." She laid the first puppy in a folded towel near the fireplace and went back for the second. The mother dog followed, her paws leaving faint trails of melting snow on the wooden floor. She let out a low, exhausted breath and gently lay beside her pups, curling around them protectively. Emma knelt beside them. Up close, the dog looked even more battered. Her fur was matted with dried blood, and scars lined her legs and belly. Yet her eyes held no fear, only fatigue and something else, something like trust. "I'm going to call you Luna," Emma said softly. "It means moon. You came out of the night like a light in the dark." Luna blinked slowly, as if accepting the name. The puppies, now nestled between Luna's legs, began to whimper and nuzzle. Emma fetched a bowl of warm water, some clean cloths, and a little milk. She soaked the cloth and began cleaning Luna's wounds with gentle dabs. The dog didn't resist, only watched her breathing ragged but steady. As the fire grew stronger, warmth returned to the room, and, in a strange way, to Emma's heart. It had been so long since she'd spoken to anyone, even longer since she had cared. But now these fragile creatures were here, needing her, and she found she wanted to be needed. Over the next hour, she fashioned a makeshift bed from old pillows and a basket lined with blankets. She wrapped the puppies in a soft scarf and placed them gently beside their mother, who licked them clean with slow, deliberate care. "I'll call you Max," she said, pointing to the more energetic pup, who kept squirming in his sleep. "And you," she added, stroking the smaller, quieter one curled against Luna's chest. "You'll be Bella." Names made them real. Names made them family. By midnight, Luna was asleep with both puppies curled close, their small bodies rising and falling in rhythm. Emma sat nearby, sipping a fresh cup of tea, watching the quiet scene with a feeling she hadn't felt in years. Hope. It came not in grand gestures, but in quiet moments like this, when the storm outside was raging, but inside 3 lost souls had found shelter, and so had she. The fire had burned low, casting soft shadows across the room. Emma sat with her knees pulled to her chest, tea long gone cold in her hands, still watching Luna and the pups sleep. The storm outside had passed, but a strange kind of storm lingered in Emma's chest, one made of warmth, questions, and quiet wonder. She stood and gently approached Luna, careful not to wake the puppies. Bella's tiny paw twitched in a dream, and Max let out a squeaky yawn. Emma knelt to check on Luna one last time before heading to bed. As she brushed her hand lightly along Luna's side, her fingers paused on something unusual, a thin, raised line beneath the fur, a scar. Emma leaned closer and gently parted the tangled hair. The line was clean, almost surgical, hidden just beneath the ribs. It was no accident, no wild wound from a fight or fall. It was precise, intentional. Frowning, Emma stood and reached for her phone. There was only one person in town she trusted with animals, and with questions. The next morning, Dr. Grace, Pine Brook's quiet and kind-hearted veterinarian, arrived with her bag slung over one shoulder. She knelt beside Luna with practiced care. The German shepherd remained calm, though her eyes flicked cautiously toward Emma as the vet examined her. "She's surprisingly strong for a dog in this condition," Dr. Grace murmured. "But you did the right thing. Warmth, food, quiet, exactly what she needed." Emma pointed to the scar. "That's what worries me. It looks like something surgical, not natural." Dr. Grace narrowed her eyes and gently probed the area. "You're right. This isn't from an injury. This is a microchip implant site." Emma's breath caught. "A microchip?" Grace nodded. "It's common in working dogs, military or police K9s. This one looks like an older model, maybe a few years old. She was part of something official." Emma glanced at Luna. The dog met her gaze, silent and steady. "So she wasn't always like this? Stray? Injured?" "No," Grace said. "She was trained. Important. Someone gave her orders until she got lost or—" Her voice trailed off. "Or someone let her go," Emma finished. A silence fell between them. Grace packed up her kit, but before leaving, she placed a hand on Emma's shoulder. "You might want to keep an eye out. If someone's looking for her, they may come." Emma looked at Luna, who was now curled around her puppies again, eyes beginning to close. "No matter who she was," Emma said softly, "she's not theirs anymore. She found her way here, to me, and I won't let her be taken again." Outside, snow had begun to melt under a pale winter sun. Inside, for the first time in years, Emma felt like she was standing on solid ground. But now she knew that pasts don't always stay buried, and Luna's was beginning to surface. Outside, the snow was beginning to melt, and tiny rivulets ran along the edges of the porch, cutting through the frozen silence. But Emma's thoughts were far from the changing weather. Inside, as Luna lay curled protectively around Max and Bella, Emma sat by the window staring out at the empty road. She couldn't shake Dr. Grace's warning. "You might want to keep an eye out. If someone's looking for her, they may come." The idea of someone taking Luna away felt unthinkable. This dog wasn't just a stray anymore. She had a name, a home, a place in Emma's broken life that no one else could have filled. That afternoon, as clouds gathered again over Pine Brook, Emma heard a car pull into the gravel drive. The engine shut off, but no one knocked. She peeked through the curtain. A tall man stood outside in a black coat, holding a folder. His eyes scanned the house like a hawk searching for prey. A knock finally came, sharp and deliberate. Emma opened the door only part way, keeping her body between him and the warmth behind her. "Can I help you?" she asked cautiously. The man held up a paper with a seal she didn't recognize. "I believe you have something that belongs to the government," he said coldly. "K9-7, female German Shepherd. She was part of a discontinued defense program." Emma's chest tightened. She didn't answer. "I'm here to retrieve her," he continued, voice low but firm. "There's classified technology involved. You're not authorized to keep her." Emma glanced back. Luna had risen silently behind her, standing between her puppies and the stranger. Her golden eyes were sharp, ears alert, body tense. "She's not K97, Emma said, turning back to the man. "Her name is Luna, and she's staying here." The man's jaw twitched. "She's government property, ma'am." "Number. She's a living being. She came to me hurt, starving, with her puppies in the snow. She's not some tool you can drag back to a lab." Behind her, Luna took a step forward, teeth barely bared, a low growl rumbling in her chest. The man's expression changed just slightly. Not fear, but recognition. This dog remembered him, and she didn't trust him. He backed up a step. "You don't understand what you're dealing with. That animal has seen things you can't imagine." Emma didn't flinch. "So have I." For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then, with a final icy glare, he turned and walked away. "This isn't over," he called over his shoulder. Emma slammed the door shut and locked it with trembling hands. She sat down on the floor beside Luna, who leaned into her with calm strength. Max and Bella stirred in their sleep. Whatever Luna had been before, whoever she had belonged to, she belonged here now, with them. Emma looked down at her loyal companion, heart pounding with fear and something stronger. "Resolve," she whispered. "No one's taking you away. Not while I'm breathing." But deep down, she knew the man would be back. And next time, he might not come alone. Emma didn't sleep that night. She lay in bed with her eyes wide open, listening for every sound. The creak of old floorboards, the groan of winter wind against the windows, the faint breaths of Luna and the puppies in the living room. "No one's taking you away," she had whispered to Luna. But the words echoed now with both courage and fear. Outside, the night deepened. Snowflakes began to fall again, soft and silent. Inside, everything was still, until a sudden shattering of glass jolted Emma upright. The sound had come from the back of the house. She threw off her blanket and raced out of her room. "Luna!" she hissed. Luna was already awake, standing in front of Max and Bella with her body tense, ears up and teeth bared. Emma heard footsteps. 2 men were moving through the kitchen. One had already crawled in through the broken window. They wore dark clothes, gloves, and masks, and they were armed, not with bullets, but with tranquilizer guns. "This is it," one man whispered. "Get the dog and the pups, fast." Luna snarled, leaping between them and the puppies. One man raised his gun, but she was faster. She lunged, teeth sinking into his arm as he screamed and dropped the weapon. The second man charged toward the puppies, but Emma grabbed the nearest thing she could find, a heavy lamp, and swung it with all her strength. It crashed into his shoulder, knocking him off balance. "Stay away from them!" she shouted. The first man tried to crawl back to the window, bleeding and cursing. Luna kept him pinned with one paw, growling low and dangerous. The second man, still dazed, reached for his gun, but red and blue lights flashed through the window just in time. Police sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder. Someone had seen the break-in. Relief flooded Emma as she heard car doors slam and boots crunching in the snow. The intruders scrambled, fleeing the house in different directions, but one was caught on the front lawn by the officers. A tall man in uniform approached the doorway carefully, shining a flashlight into the living room. "You Emma Carter?" he asked. She nodded shakily. Yes. I'm Officer Daniel Reyes. We've been keeping an eye on this area. Got a report about suspicious government activity tied to old military dogs." Emma stared at him. "They said Luna was part of some program, illegal training?" Daniel nodded. "That man who showed up before? He's no longer with any official agency. He's been selling enhanced dogs like Luna to private buyers, crime syndicates, underground fighters. We've been trying to track him for months." Emma knelt beside Luna, wrapping her arms around the dog's neck. "She's not a weapon," she said fiercely. "She's family." Daniel gave a gentle nod. "And we'll do everything we can to make sure she stays that way." The other officers took statements, checked the house, and cleared the scene. As the last car pulled away, Emma sat on the floor with Luna, Max and Bella curled against her. They had faced the storm and survived, but now Emma knew the past wasn't just behind Luna. It had come for them all, and they had fought back. They had faced the storm and survived. Emma sat on the living room floor, her arms wrapped tightly around Luna, as Max and Bella nestled beside them. The broken window had been covered with cardboard for the night, but the air inside still felt warmer than it had in years. Not because of the fire, but because of what they had all just been through together. Luna had protected them, and Emma had protected Luna. They had chosen each other. That mattered more than anything. The next morning brought sunlight, soft and golden, filtering through the frost-covered windows. It was the first real sign that spring might finally be near. The police had returned briefly to collect more evidence. Officer Daniel stopped by again, this time with a small smile and a manila envelope. "We found documents in the van," he explained. "The man who tried to take Luna, his operation is shut down. You're safe now. Luna's file is sealed and no one will be coming for her again." Emma didn't ask what was in the documents. She didn't want to know any more than she already did. All that mattered was the future. That day, Emma took a long walk with Luna and the puppies through the snowy woods behind the house. For the first time, Luna wasn't watching every tree like an enemy might be hiding behind it. Her ears were relaxed, her eyes calm. At the edge of the trail, Luna suddenly stopped. Max and Bella flopped into the snow to play, but Luna just stared at the horizon for a long time. Then she turned and nudged Emma's hand gently. Emma smiled. "Yeah, girl, I think we're finally home." Weeks passed and winter melted away. Emma returned to the Pinebrook Community Center, where she had once volunteered before grief had pulled her into silence. Now she was back, but this time she didn't come alone. Luna walked at her side, a quiet presence that drew in children like sunlight through an open window. Max and Bella stayed home most days, but on weekends they joined too, curling up beside kids during story hour or chasing after soft balls in the gym. One little girl named Sophie never spoke. She had lost her parents in a fire and hadn't said a word since. But every day she sat near Luna, pressing her tiny fingers into the dog's thick fur, silent but present. Then one quiet afternoon, Sophie leaned her head against Luna's side and whispered just 2 words. "Thank you." Emma's throat caught and tears filled her eyes. Luna licked Sophie's cheek softly, like she understood everything that had ever been broken. They had all come from pain, but somehow they had found healing together. That evening, Emma sat on her porch, watching Luna play with the puppies under a sky streaked with orange and pink. The breeze carried the scent of earth waking up after a long sleep. She thought back to the night of the snowstorm, the knock, the eyes at the door, the wounded mother and her pups. That was the night her heart had started beating again, the night that gave her a second chance, and she would never take it for granted.